Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Erica. If you're new here, please make sure to subscribe. But today's video is going to be something that I've been thinking about recently, and here's the thing, when a thought comes to me that I feel like has some kind of substance or importance, I always write it down in my phone notes. I have so many notes. I mean, my notes is also where I keep like the poems that I write and like favorite quotes and like notes from podcasts and like stuff like that. This particular idea or concept, I guess you could say, has been in my phone for over a year now, and I'm just now filming this video about it. As you can tell by the title, today I'm going to be talking about the 4 types of self, or the 4 selves that I live by. That might sound confusing, but I promise I'm going to try to make it make sense to you as much as I can, or as much as possible, I guess. I hope this video resonates with you guys in some way, and hopefully you can take something away from it. So let me just start off by explaining what the 4 selves are. Number 1 is self-discovery. Number 2 is self-awareness. Number 3 is self-development. And number 4 is self-love. So if you can kind of get the theme or pattern here, basically the 4 selves are just words with the word self in front of it that I deeply value and have incorporated into like daily practices and rituals so that I can be stronger in each of those areas. I think the order I put them in is probably the best possible order for me to explain them to you guys and kind of go more in depth into each one, and hopefully one will lead to the next. So I'm someone who, ever since I was younger, I've had this deep curiosity to know more, particularly to know more about myself. That's why I've always been so interested and fascinated by astrology or like personality tests and all those kinds of things. I've found that I deeply value learning more about who I am and why I am the way that I am, and how I can use those pieces that I find out and discover about myself to help further develop as a person in my life, you know? Because my goal in life is to just be a better person every single day. But the reason I have self-discovery as like the number 1 thing is because I think it's a good foundation to start with. Because once you truly know yourself, and once you've spent time alone and know who you are and what you like and what your passions are and what you want to do, that is a great starting point for self-growth. The next thing I live by is self-awareness. I think self-awareness is so important because now we're getting to know ourselves on an even deeper level. We're paying attention to what types of environments we thrive in and what types that we don't. Are we more introverted? Are we more extroverted? Like, what allows us to fully be our true authentic selves? When we are self-aware, we can then make conscious decisions that are going to make us feel good. And as a result, our lives are going to get better because of that. I also think self-awareness kind of connects us to that inner voice inside of us, that intuition, and we're able to follow our heart in situations instead of listening to our chaotic mind. I think having a daily mindful practice is so important, whether that's journaling, meditation, going on a run, going on a walk, doing yoga. There are so many different things that you can do for yourself and make time for. Be more in the moment, be more aware of who you are and what you love. That brings me to the next one, which is self-development. So now we've discovered who we are and what we love, and we're self-aware. We're making conscious choices for ourselves. Now we can work on developing our true authentic selves, not our ego. That's not the self that I'm talking about in this video, by the way. Self-development is taking action and doing things that are going to make you better. It's like making an agreement with yourself on what you're going to do to further develop the person you are. I have to ask myself, which book do I need to read in this moment? And sometimes books find me and I'm like, okay, this is a sign I need to read this right now in my life. And then it actually ends up helping a lot with whatever I'm going through in my personal life, you know? It's so crazy that it happens that way sometimes. And then, like I mentioned, podcasts are amazing as well. I think we really have to be conscious of the content that we're taking in every day. And that goes from the music we listen to the TV shows we watch, to the books we read, to the people we surround ourselves with. Like, all of that matters, because all of that simultaneously creates the person that we are. You know, something that my 10th grade health teacher told us was, you have the freedom of choice, but never the freedom of consequence. That has stuck with me since the day he said it in class. And it's so true. Like, we choose what we put into our brains. We choose who we hang out with, but you know, we don't get to choose the consequences or the results that come from that, you know? But as long as we're making good choices, then the consequences, I mean, some may not even have consequences, or you know, the results are actually going to be positive and good for us. When it comes to self-development, it's really just about realizing that the things and the people around you matter, and making an effective choice to create positive change in yourself. The last thing I want to talk about today is self-love. I've made a few videos on the topic of self-love, which I will have linked below. They're over on my other channel. What I've noticed is that the backbone of every self-help book I've ever read is self-love. That is the core message, and I mean, I understand why. But just know that just because I'm talking about self-love last doesn't make it any less important than any of the other things I talked about. Because self-love is the core of having a good life and being genuinely happy. If you're happy with yourself and you've accepted who you are, there's so much good that is gonna come your way. We spend so much time tearing ourselves apart, and that does nothing good. Like, there is zero benefit to looking at yourself in the mirror and telling yourself, I'm ugly, I don't like this about myself. Like, do we gain anything except for a feeling of sadness, anger, frustration? No. Literally, you guys, take it from someone who did that, who would look in the mirror some days and want to cry over my appearance. Like, what? Meanwhile, I was such a kind person, I had good friends, like, and all I cared about was how terrible I looked. Like, what? And I know that there has been a lot of influence by what society has put in our heads, but thank gosh we are in a time now, like in 2019, where self-love is something that is being talked about more and more, and being taught on social media as well. Like, I think that's one of the positive things, is like this self-love revolution that's going on, you know? Thank God that we have made progress, because we need to start teaching people, girls, boys, from a very young age, that your self-worth is so important, and you should never think that you're not enough. Oh, it breaks my heart. Like, even looking back at my past self and seeing how insecure I was, I think loving yourself is so essential to being happy. Because how can you be happy if you're just tearing yourself apart? How can you be there for others? How can you fully serve others when you yourself are unhappy with who you are? I guess what I'm trying to say is, to fully love others, to fully love the world, like, you got to start with yourself. You have to. I don't want to sit here and seem like I'm perfectly okay with who I am right now, but I think I'm making the right choices and practicing, you know, saying I love you to myself in the mirror, like doing things that make me happy, wearing no makeup to feel good in my own skin, you know, like working out to try to get in good shape for myself, you know, to reach the goals that I've always wanted to reach. I'm making strides towards self-love, and that's really the best we can all do. I think it's hard to fully accept ourselves completely overnight. If it were really that easy, a lot of us would be a lot happier than we are. I think self-love is a continuous journey, and I mean, as long as we're doing our best, then that's it. That's good, you know? Instead of looking at yourself and pointing out a flaw, point out something you love about yourself. Like, I know it sounds cheesy, I know it might be cliche, but if you want to see change, like, you have to be willing to change. You have to be willing to look at yourself and say, I love you, directly into a mirror, at your reflection. It's so important, guys. Love yourself first, always, you know? Always. With that said, those are the 4 selves I live by. I can't believe I actually did this video. Like I said, I've had that note in my phone for over a year now, and I kind of just let the words flow out of me. I had no structure or plan really, but I think it worked out. So I hope you guys took something away from this video. Thank you all so much for watching. It truly means the world to me. If you want to follow me on Instagram and Snapchat, I will have them linked below. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I love you all so much, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye guys.